Today we're going to be adding leather to a jacket such as this. So turning a probably $150 jacket into a $450 jacket. So we're going to turn this, okay, linen and cotton jacket into this. It's just the pockets. As you can see, here's the sleeve. Pretty cool jacket. Just could use some additional help. It has nice buttons. So I chose a color that would go pretty much with the jacket. Wouldn't take from it, just would add to it. $150 jacket into a $450 jacket as far as I'm concerned, by adding the leather. Okay, these are the tools we'll be using. You know, simple tools. Very simple process, really. You know, cutting knives here, scissors, little scoring object I use to score around the tape, box cutter, small tape measure, scissors, little small fabric scissors. So let's get started. First process is to create a template around the pocket by using a little masking tape here. Just tape around the pocket. Careful not to cut your fabric. Give yourself room to cut. Try to make it, layer it pretty thick, because when you peel it off and you use this masking tape, when you get ready to use it on the leather, you just don't want it to come apart. Okay? So use it as in a way that you know that you'll peel it off the fabric and then have it hold together. Okay. Alright, let's see, almost done here. Alright, around the edges I like it to be firm, so give it a layer around the edges so it'll hold together when you pull it off. Won't necessarily need it in the middle. The edges are the most important because that's where you'll score that's where you'll do your markings. Okay, so I have a little tool here I like to use that gives me a, doesn't hurt to give you a, get an impression going with your finger. And whatever you do, use an item that won't poke through the tape. Okay, so I'm going to use the round edge. If I press too hard, it will go through the tape. So you just want to give it a gentle pressing so you can score your pen, use your pen. And this particular pocket has round edges. Make sure you get your edges. Okay. And give I prefer a pen that, not a ballpoint, but a pen that's going to give you a wet surface. But again, make sure you don't poke any holes, because you ruin your fabric. You don't want the pen to poke through. Okay. And you don't have to press hard. Just give it a gentle score. Get your corners. Okay. Careful with your pen so you don't mark your fabric. That's not a good thing. Alright, so peel it from the back towards the front so it'll hold together. Now this particular additional tape we put around the edges will hold it together. Okay. Now, scissors are good in this during this process. But what I like to do first is cut my line straight down. Now it may not be straight, but you're going with the form of the item that you're taping. So sometimes they're not very accurate when they sew and cut. Depends on how important it is to the designer. Okay, so what I'm going to use is the box cutter to just cut straight lines first. Cut my edges. Cut the edges, and then cut my corners. And I'll show you why in a minute. It's better this way. For me. Do what you feel best, when doing any cutting. But you'll see in a minute how simple this makes cutting corners accurately. Okay, so what I want to do, as you can see, those, when I tape those, put that extra tape, made it a lot easier to peel off. So use the scissors. Makes it easier. Now this form, it should be pretty accurate. I like to get rid of the old tape I cut because it just gets in the way, as you can see here. It's better to get rid of it. Okay. There we go. Now, let's check our corners. Start from one end to the other. It's a little longer than I like. Okay. Easy fix. Sometimes that happens. Okay. If that happens, give it another cut. Alright, now I will have to make another impression over the pocket corner. I'll show you the best way to do that. Okay, there we go. Okay. Give it a look. There we go. Okay. So, the next thing to do, get you a piece of leather. I went with this color because it just blends in well with the jacket itself. With the buttons. It's rich, but it just goes it's okay, let's get a straight edge on this thing first. 36-inch ruler, 12-inch ruler. You're going to need both at some point. Always start out with a straight edge. Okay. What I like to do, I forgot to add in the leather ink pen, which rubs away from leather easily. You see there? But I don't like to overuse it because I don't want to have to rub away anything. So I'm going to be cutting along the edge anyway. So I always like to give myself a little room so I can cut away the ink instead of rubbing it off. I like to be on the other side of the cut, on the inside of the cut. But I like to use dots because it just involves less ink. So anything you can do without involving especially ink, even though it rubs away from leather, rubs off leather, I still like to use it sparingly. Okay, same process. Okay, cut a straight edge. And if you have a cutting mat, as you see here that I'm using, it's always good to line up your numbers. Line up your dots, line up your cuts with the numbers. That way you'll have a straight cut and won't have to be concerned about it. Okay. So same process. Give it a straight cut first, then cut your corners. All right. Make sure your scissors are sharp. Always, before you start out working with scissors, it's always good to give it a good sharpening. Lambskin cuts easy, but it's also has a way of cut the bottom as well. Okay. And there's the corner. I mean, you can see it, and it's a very short cut. And